Today on the laboratory, we're going to be working on an inspection camera from Ames Digital Video, or Ames Instruments. Looks okay. It turns on. Press the power button. Here's your light. Here's your welcome screen. Notice there's no picture. Of course, there's some residue from the decal. You can go into the menu and you got all the features work. You can do color, black and white, you can record. It's kind of nice that it has a spot for USB and micro SD and video out if you want to play it on a big screen TV. But the reason it doesn't work when you go back to the video and it's all black, even though the light's on and you see nothing on the screen, is somebody broke it, and that's why it's here. Probably because it's such a pain to open. There we go. If you take a gander on this end, you got 4 small holes and 1 big rectangle slot. If you look on this side, there's a pin missing, which is most likely the video pin. And of course, they said that once the pin breaks off, it's garbage. Well, far be it from me to argue with them, but I'm going to see if we can fix it. So we don't have to take this apart, but if you did, there's a screw here, here, and then you got to peel back the serial number sticker, and there's a screw there. I don't feel anything else in there. These screws seem to be pretty snug. So I don't know if anybody else has tried this. This buddy of mine bought from a pawn shop. There's also screws to take the screen off and the face right there. Bought it from a pawn shop. Never checked it, and then asked if I can fix it. So we're going to try and fix it. And the battery pack's right here in the bottom, which it takes 4 AA's. So inspection cameras are nice. The one I own 2, similar to this. It doesn't record onto an SD card or have a video out. So, and it's not color. The color menu, it is color on the screen. And this piece is longer. This one is about 3.5 feet according to the measurement. So the one I have is 4 feet. I believe it comes apart. Can't see. Yeah, that's a mini Allen. So let's see if I have a mini Allen. So I'll check this kit first. That one's too big. And that one's too small. Let's go back to the one that was too big and see if I was just off. Nope. Alright, so that kit's not going to work. Let's try a different kit. Too big. Still too big. Well, I am surprised that none of my kits I have in here are the right size. Try the one that's too small again and see if I can just get it to wedge a little. I want to try and pull this center hub out if it comes out. It may not. So I can try and repair that broken pin. Oh, maybe it is coming out. Ah, it is. It is the right size. I must not have had it in the actual Allen itself. And there is the little Allen set screw. Make sure there's only one. Just examining the wire to try and make sure that even though the pin's broke, that the wire is still soldered on the back side. So you can carefully pry this bad boy out, and the pin that's broke has a green wire attached to it on the back side. It's going to be really hard to see. We're talking really fine stuff. So now we need to replace a pin. That's going to be a trick on its own. So, how are we going to replace this broken pin? First thing, let's put the kit away that I'm not using. Put it back in its corner. What I'm thinking is using the pin off of something else, such as a heavy-duty resistor, like these half-watt, 1-watt resistors, where this is pretty resilient as far as its rigidity. Let me see if I have something else that might work too. You have all these little kits of random bits of things that are usually, yeah, this is a little bit more rigid. This is a can't read it. It's a crystal, so it's for a timing circuit. What I want to make sure is because it's more rigid, which means it's more fatter, and it does not fit into here. I can get into the plastic, but I cannot get it into the actual pin. So, even though it's more rigid, too fat. So, we have this little fella. Which actually might work. I need to just remove the end. Just like that. The reason I'm doing that is when it was taken off of a circuit board, it had a little bit of solder still on it, which makes it really hard to stick in the hole. It is the bottom left, so this guy. And that one actually fits in. You can see it's sticking through. So, I'm going to turn on the soldering iron, like that. Get it cooking. And cut off a small piece and put that away. I'm currently using the pliers just to try and straighten the pin out. sticking it between and rotating it and squeezing, trying to take any bows out so it's a little bit flatter. Soldering this is going to be a very large pain. You have to get down inside. I got a little solder on the end, a little solder on that itty bitty broken piece in there, and then keep it as straight as possible. I mean, I can bend it a little bit, but this is a compression, so it screws tight, and if it's bent at all, it could actually break it off inside this end, and that would be miserable. I thought about taking the guts out of an old S-video cable, because they do look very similar, and trying to resolder, but I'm going to see if I can just replace the broken pin. And I don't want to lose that since it did fly across. Also, by taking it out, which you don't have to do, solder requires heat, and this is a big heat sink, so as you're touching the edges, it's going to dissipate the heat of the soldering iron. So this whole housing is aluminum. This is a metal, probably just regular metal. It's probably magnetic. Nope, no it's not. But it's going to dissipate the heat of my soldering, so this will at least allow some of the heat dissipation to be minimized. Get some solder. And start this. Some needle nose. First thing I'm going to do is get some solder on the very end of the part. So what I'm doing is I'm just pre-tinning this. So now I'm going to try and get solder in here. To do that, I'm going to give myself a little extra light so I can see. Don't need the whole ring anymore since it came off. Ooh, that's getting hot. And it's not sticking. So, to fix that, I use a little bit of flux. So put a little bit on the end of this stick. Oh, that's way too much. Okay. Sizzle. Burning the flux off. Alright, we got a little bit on that pad. Now comes the fun part. Now I gotta try and get this to solder onto that pad. This pin's probably too long, which is fine. Once I get it in and I know it's soldered, I will trim it. Those little flush cutters, the blue handled ones right here to my right, I can get them inside to trim the top. I'm trying to grab just the very edge so I have the majority of the meat of the pin inside. So hopefully it doesn't obstruct all of my view. I'm trying to get this soldered. Which it is. Yeah, it's kind of a pain to hold. think that worked. No. It didn't adhere. Take two. Nope. Well, this is probably going to be a pain. Definitely going to have to tell him the next time he buys something like this, he should probably turn it on before he buys it. Or turns it on within the time period that you can exchange it for something. Should I get it? Give me a little bit more left. Looks like I got it, but I also have a solder bridge where the one next to it is touching this one as well. So I need to... And of course, as soon as I broke the solder bridge, this pin came out. So this looks like it's going to be a heck of a task. So I am just going to keep at it. I'm going to try something slightly different this time. I'm going to set it onto the pad. And I'm just going to try and heat the pin up to the point where it gets hot enough to melt the solder. Well, it started smoking, but it did melt the solder. It just didn't stick to the pad. So, all right, well, I'm going to play with this for a while. I think that's how I'm going to have to do it, is stick it back in, get it hot until it sticks. But this might take a while. My hands are getting stiff. All right, so I'm going to keep playing with it. I'll be back as soon as I get it done. All right, we're back. The easiest way I could do it, and it was by accident, is I got it so hot the collar came off, which technically the collar probably set off before, but there was hot glue on it. And I got it so hot that the hot glue started to melt, which separated the collar, the grounding collar. And the center pin that's broke, I was able to push out. I desoldered it from the, it's actually blue wire, I said green earlier, I didn't realize it was blue. And then I just took the pin and soldered the extension on, because you can tell the pin is slightly fatter where it gets pressed into this plastic block, or this plastic boss. So now the pin's soldered on with the help of helping hands and magnifying glasses. But, yeah. Let me just check my solder, make sure she's good. Probably going to add a little bit more solder to it, because I'm soldering in a heat sink, which are these jaws, because they're metal, so they're dissipating the heat again. So I want to make sure that the solder is good, so the pressure of putting it together with the other part, the camera end, is good. So excess solder off. There, that's a little better. I'm also using, again, magnifying glasses so I can see better. Pin's not straight, so we're going to straighten it real quick using some flat bladed pliers. Now I just got to push it back through and then resolder the blue wire. So see what I can do without breaking the solder. I think my solder joint might be a hair too large because I can't get it in all the way. So I'm going to get some of the solder off. Of course, in doing so, I separated the pins. Probably should have just used sandpaper. Apparently a little bit harder than it appears to have been. I knew it was going to be a challenge, but something so basic, figured it would have been a lot more towards the easy to moderate, not moderate to hard. When I straightened the pin, I cracked the solder. Probably because I'm low on rosin. This is rosin core flex. Of course, yeah. All right, that's better. Let's see if it'll slide in. And now I'm just removing some of this excess hot glue because it's blocking the hole. There we go. Let's get that out. Just snap the pin off. Alright, well this is going to be a heck of a process apparently. Alright, so I'm going to work on it some more since I just broke the pin. See what I can figure out, instead of watching me for the next half hour or so trying to figure this out, I'll come back. All right, it's been about 20 minutes or so, and I finally was able to get it. I had to cut another pin because I distorted the other one so bad it wouldn't work. And I just got the collar on and the set screw back in, and I've been trying to reshape the collar because of course it's not the same shape anymore. But there's 4 pins in there now, not 3. I'm telling you, this was a rather large pain in the rear. So let's clean off some of the stuff that's in the way and see if it worked. It may not. I don't know. May have damaged it beyond repair. May have never technically been repairable. I'm not sure. There we go. I'm also trying to use the factory female end to reshape that metal collar that got distorted. I tried to bend it as much as possible to make it work. And moment of truth. Power. Welcome. Holy smokums. It worked. See, it's got a picture. Not the greatest picture. Actually, it's not too bad. It's just I'm moving it so fast you can't see it. So, all right. That is absolutely amazing. So I can set the time. It says it's 8:27 p.m. It is close. It's 8:46 actually. But it says it is March 7th of 2011. Yeah, that's a little off because it's October 20th of 2020. So, with a lot of perseverance, and that I don't want to give up and have something inanimate beat me at doing something, I was able to repair the pin on a inspection camera that was purchased at a pawn shop that was not inspected by a friend of mine. And I'm going to tell you one thing: if you need to do something similar, I'm not going to envy you. But take the set screw out of the, if it's like this, take the set screw out of this side, the camera or camera and light side, and pull that center piece out and remove the collar. That made life a lot easier. And I had to cut a slightly longer pin and then solder it and then push it back through. And then once I pushed it through to the height I wanted, I used the bulb of solder to rest up against the plastic base, and then I coated it in Gorilla Glue. I didn't want to use hot glue because hot glue flexes, and if you push it in, it could push it through because hot glue flexes. Gorilla Glue, once it hardens, is rigid. Same with most super glue, crazy glue, etc. I put on 3 coats. I put on 1 coat to hold it, and also fill in the indentation in the plastic base. A 2nd coat to make it more smooth and flat, and a 3rd coat to not only ensure everything's good, but also to insulate the pin. One of the reasons they used hot glue was as an insulator so the 4 pins wouldn't touch each other or touch that metal sleeve, which that metal sleeve is usually a ground sleeve, because that would be bad. So, the light works, the camera now works, and hopefully, if anybody out there has to replace a pin on a S-video style cable and it can come apart, this helps with the process, because, yeah, it wasn't easy. Something that I thought would take 15 minutes or so has taken 45 minutes, an hour, almost an hour. So, thanks for watching. Hopefully this will help you on any endeavors in the future. One last check. I'll kill the extra white light, which is providing a huge amount of glare, like so. And now you can see there's my workbench. There's the There's a tilt and hurl for Limax that needs to be redone since I didn't put it together in the correct time. It's my own, so I'll do it when I get to it. You can see all the little squares. There's the helping hands, tweezers. So yeah, she's working pretty good. Ruler. So all it needs now is an SD card and soon a fresh set of batteries, because the battery indicator says we're at about 2/3, maybe 50%. Now it's on still camera, record video. Yeah, everything works. So this cheap pawn shop inspection camera has been repaired by replacing the pin on the camera end. And I'd recommend anytime you go to a pawn shop or anything that you check the pins. This is not something I want to do again, but at least I know it is possible. Worst case is I have to tell my buddy that he'd need to contact Ames for a new camera end, but at least he doesn't have to do that now. It's not like he could return it, because when he bought it, it was as is, which indicated to me that he should have checked it, but it didn't have batteries, and I don't know where he stole these batteries from since they're not fully charged. But anyhow, thanks for watching. Till the next video when we fix something else or break something else. Who knows? Have a good one.